Hi, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we'll be discussing the 3 to 6 month emergency fund and whether or not you need to be on the low end of 3 months or the high end of 6 months, and that will be based on risk. Let's do a refresh of what we've covered in videos so far. So far, we've covered the fact the number one key to financial freedom is learning to live on less than you make. After that, we learned how to set up a budget and track budget expenses. Then we went over saving a $1,000 emergency fund, and then developed a methodology for prioritizing how we were going to pay off our debts. The next step is develop a larger emergency fund of 3 to 6 months. So if you figure the average household income in the United States is approximately $70,000 a year, 3 to 6 months is a fairly big range of money. It goes from $17,500 up to $35,000. So where would you fall on needing $17,000 or $35,000? I think that totally depends on risk. To discuss risk, I think we need to have a definition of what risk is. I'm a bit of a math nerd, so that means an equation for me. So risk is equal to probability times consequence. So what do I mean by that? Probability is the chance of something happening to you, and then the consequences is the outcome of that thing happening to you. So in regards to setting up a 3 to 6 month emergency fund, the question would be, what would you need to be protecting yourself against? I think the number one thing most likely would be a job loss. So what's the probability of you losing all your income from your house and then multiply that times a consequence? You say, well, the consequence would always be catastrophic. That may not be true if you have a multi-income family, such husband, wife working, and the wife loses a job. The consequence of the house is less than if both lost a job. So you always balancing the probability and consequence coming out of it. So for example, if it was a single income family and the probability of the person losing their job, they were in a seasonal industry where it may close down, the probability of losing a job is relatively high, and the consequence of only having one income would be pretty catastrophic. So someone, a single income with not a lot of job security, I would recommend having a 6 month emergency fund. Someone dual income, both very secure jobs, the probability of both losing the jobs at the same time, pretty low. Consequence is mitigated by having two different incomes as well. So in that case, I would probably go to the lower end of having a 3 month emergency fund. So when you're trying to decide if you want 3 months or 6 months, look at the risk exposure that you're giving yourself, the probability of something happening to you, and the consequence of that happening to you. Question would be then how do we go about setting up our 3 to 6 month emergency fund? We've covered in previous videos getting our debt paid off with the debt snowball. The assumption is that if you're doing 3 to 6 months is that you're now out of short-term debt outside your mortgage. So all the money that was going toward paying down your debt, your credit card debt or signature debt, whatever it may be, that would then be converted over into saving toward the 3 to 6 months emergency fund. I'd recommend keeping that money very liquid, i.e. do not invest it in the stock market. Typically would not recommend investing funds in a stock market that you're going to need within the next 5 years. I would recommend keeping it either in a money market fund or online high interest savings account. So to determine how much you want to save, 3 to 6 months. Where the money comes from is taking the money that was paying down debt and putting that now into savings until you reach your target emergency fund. Those funds should be kept very liquid in money market or high interest savings accounts. How is what we've been talking about look like in the budget book? We've been focused on paying down our debt. So we've got all of our debt paid off now. So that takes our surplus up to $450. So we need to reassign that to our savings so that we can get our emergency fund established. So we take the savings up to $745. Now all of our money has a new assignment of building our emergency fund. As your income increases or you're no longer living paycheck to paycheck, you may want to shift your 3 to 6 month emergency fund from focus on 3 to 6 months of income to 3 to 6 months of expenses. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you would, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment if you've got ideas for future videos, or just comments on what we talked about. What do you think about the 3 to 6 month rule or outlines that we've talked through? And again, thank you for watching.